Welcome back, family, to another breakdown of everything that went down on Kwababa. Today's episode was heavy from the very first scene, and if you've been following this storyline for the past few weeks, you already know exactly what we've been waiting for. The DNA results are finally back, and honestly, nothing could have prepared Zwelakhe for what he was about to hear. Let's get straight into it, because there is a lot to unpack. The episode opens with tension already thick in the Mackay's household. Everyone can feel that something big is about to happen, but nobody wants to be the one to say it out loud. Bahomi is trying her best to stay calm, but you can see it in her eyes that she is terrified of what this result could mean for her relationship with Zwelakhe. These two have already been through so much. Every time it feels like they are finally about to walk down the aisle, life throws another obstacle in their way, and this DNA situation might just be the biggest one yet. Now let's talk about Zwelakhe himself, because honestly, my heart goes out to this man. He has spent his entire life believing he is a Mackay's, standing proudly under that name, carrying the weight and the pride that comes with it. But deep down, something has never quite sat right with him, and it's clear that this uncertainty has been eating away at him for a long time. When he finally sits down to open that envelope, you can see the fear all over his face. This is not just paperwork to him. This is his entire identity on the line. And then it happens. The results confirm what many of us suspected but were still hoping wouldn't be true. Zwelakhe is not biologically related to the man he has called his father his entire life. He does not share blood with his siblings either. Can you imagine finding this out as a grown man, after building your whole sense of self around a name and a family line? It's devastating, and the writers did not hold back in showing us just how broken Zwelakhe is in this moment. He doesn't shout, he doesn't cry loudly, he just sits there in silence, and that silence says more than any dialogue could. This is where Slendel's storyline finally starts making sense. For weeks now we've watched her dodge questions, change the subject, and get visibly uncomfortable whenever anyone brought up Zwelakhe's father. Fans have been going back and forth in the comments trying to guess who the real father is, and honestly, some of the theories out there have been wild. But Slendel has clearly been sitting on this secret for years, protecting it fiercely, and we finally start to understand why she has been so defensive about her past. She does not take kindly to anyone digging into her business, and when her brother-in-law tries to gently push her to finally tell Zwelakhe the truth, she shuts him down immediately, reminding him that her history is not up for discussion. It's a powerful scene because you can tell she is not just being stubborn for the sake of it. There is real pain behind her refusal to talk. What makes this even more emotional is the involvement of the Sangoma. Zwelakhe has apparently had multiple encounters where he's been told that his people are looking for him, that the family he grew up believing was his may not be the family he truly belongs to spiritually and by blood. This adds a whole new layer to the story because it's not just about a scandal or a family secret anymore. It's about identity, ancestry, and belonging in a much deeper cultural sense. For a lot of viewers, this is the part of the storyline that hits closest to home, because questions about lineage and where you truly come from carry so much weight. Now let's shift over to the drama unfolding around the family business, because things are just as messy on that side of the story. With everything going on with Zwelakhe, there's growing concern among the family that if he steps away or if his position in the company is somehow challenged because of this DNA revelation, things could fall apart quickly. There's already talk that without his leadership, the business could struggle, and there's speculation that the family might have no choice but to bring in Kwababa to help steady the ship. If you know this family's history, you know that inviting Kwababa back into the fold is not a decision anyone takes lightly. He's got his own agenda, and fans are already predicting that this could open the door to even more chaos. Speaking of chaos, let's talk about Kwababa, because this man really cannot catch a break, and honestly, a lot of it is his own doing. Kwababa has always struck me as someone who struggles to stand on his own 2 feet. He's easily influenced, easily pulled into other people's schemes, and this episode really drives that point home. His brother-in-law convinces him to help access certain documents that were clearly meant to stay private, and Kwababa goes along with it without putting up much resistance. It's frustrating to watch because you want to see him grow a backbone, but time and time again he proves that he is willing to compromise himself for the approval of people who do not have his best interests at heart. Of course, this does not end well for him. He gets caught red-handed trying to sneak documents out, and the fallout is immediate and brutal. There's a particularly striking scene where his own wife tells him directly that he doesn't have a voice of his own, that he spent his whole life living under his father's shadow without ever asserting who he actually is. It's a harsh thing to hear, but honestly, it's accurate, and I think a lot of viewers have been waiting for someone to say it to his face. Kwababa has never really shown us that he's capable of independent thought or action, and this moment forces him to confront that uncomfortable truth head-on. The family tries to intervene and organize a meeting to smooth things over, bringing in an aunt to mediate the situation. But this meeting quickly turns into something much bigger than just addressing the stolen documents. Old grievances start resurfacing. Someone brings up the fact that Kwababa has stolen from the company before, and just like that, the conversation spirals into a full airing of grievances. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, and it's exactly the kind of drama that keeps us coming back to this show week after week. What really stands out in this confrontation is how prideful Kwababa remains, even when he's clearly in the wrong. Instead of taking accountability and offering a genuine apology, he doubles down, acting as though he is entitled to his position within the family business regardless of his actions. This stubbornness ends up costing him dearly. Zwelakhe, already emotionally exhausted from dealing with his own identity crisis, has no patience left for Kwababa's excuses. He makes the decision to fire him from the company and bans him from ever coming back, a moment that feels like it's been building for a long time now. There's also a smaller but emotionally significant storyline involving Slendel, the young son in the family, who ends up caught in the middle of all this adult chaos. Watching a child get pulled into these disputes always adds an extra layer of heartbreak to these storylines, and it's clear the show wants us to see just how far the ripple effects of these adult decisions extend into the lives of the people who had nothing to do with causing the mess in the first place. Now, let's circle back to the emotional core of this episode, because at the end of the day, this is Zwelakhe's story. After the DNA results come back, after everything with Kwababa unfolds, after the tension with Bahomi's family and the looming wedding drama, Zwelakhe finally reaches his breaking point. He cannot take the pain anymore. Everything he thought he knew about himself has been pulled out from under him, and instead of getting support and honesty from the people closest to him, he's been met with secrets, deflection, and manipulation. By the end of the episode, Zwelakhe shows up at Slendel's house, and you can feel the weight of everything he's carrying in that scene. This is not a man who is angry for the sake of being angry. This is a man who has been quietly suffering, trying to hold everything together while his entire foundation crumbles beneath him. He's already shared what he knows with his siblings at this point, and now it's time for him to confront Slendel directly. The way this scene is shot, with long pauses and minimal dialogue, really lets the emotional weight sink in. You don't need dramatic music or shouting to feel how devastating this moment is for him. What I appreciate about this storyline is that the show isn't rushing through it. So many soapies would have resolved this DNA reveal in one quick scene and moved on, but Kwababa is taking its time to really sit with the emotional consequences. We're not just watching a plot twist unfold, we're watching a man's sense of self completely unravel in real time, and that takes skillful writing and even more skillful acting to pull off convincingly. I also want to touch on the wedding storyline between Zwelakhe and Bahomi, because a lot of viewers have expressed frustration with how drawn out this engagement has been. Every time we think these two are finally about to get married, something else comes up to delay it. This episode makes it clear that the wedding is going to be pushed back yet again, and honestly, I understand why people are getting impatient. At the same time, given everything Zwelakhe is going through right now, it would honestly feel rushed and out of place for the wedding to move forward as if nothing happened. His entire identity has just been called into question. He needs time to process that before he can fully show up for a marriage. There's also an interesting subplot involving Dumasaine's family, particularly around his wife's dissatisfaction with how things have been going. She makes a pointed comment about needing fresh air, essentially expressing that she feels suffocated in her current situation, hinting at deeper marital tension that we'll likely see explored more in upcoming episodes. It's a smaller moment in this episode, but it feels like it's setting up something bigger down the line, especially given how many storylines in this show tend to interconnect in unexpected ways. Looking at where this leaves us heading into the next episode, there is so much still unresolved. We still don't know who Zwelakhe's biological father actually is. Slendel clearly knows the answer, but she has made it abundantly clear that she is not ready to share that information willingly. Fans are speculating that it might take another intervention, possibly even another visit to the Sangoma, before the truth finally comes out. Some viewers are convinced it's someone we've already met on the show, someone hiding in plain sight, while others think it could be a completely new character we haven't been introduced to yet. Then there's the business side of things. With Mloba now fired and banned from the family company, and with talk of bringing Kwababa back into the fold, we could be heading into a serious power struggle. Kwababa has never been the type to play it safe, and if he does end up stepping into a leadership role, expect things to get even messier before they get better. There's also the open question of how this affects Zwelakhe's own standing in the business, especially if word gets out about his DNA results. Family companies like this one tend to be deeply tied to bloodline and legacy, and if people start questioning whether Zwelakhe truly belongs, that could open up a whole new can of worms regarding inheritance and leadership succession. As for Bahomi, I think we're going to see her play a much bigger supporting role in the episodes ahead. She's been somewhat sidelined by all this family drama, but given how much Zwelakhe is struggling right now, I expect the show to lean into their relationship as a source of stability for him, assuming the writers don't decide to throw yet another wrench into their romance. Given the track record of this storyline, though, I wouldn't be shocked if something else comes up to test them even further. Overall, this was one of the stronger episodes we've had in a while. The pacing felt intentional, the performances were emotionally grounded, and the way the show handled the DNA reveal avoided feeling melodramatic in a way that could have easily undercut the seriousness of the moment. Instead, it felt real. It felt like watching someone's entire world shift beneath their feet, and that's exactly the kind of storytelling that keeps audiences invested episode after episode. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Who do you think Zwelakhe's real father is? Do you think Slendel will finally come clean, or is she going to keep hiding the truth for as long as possible? And what do you make of Mloba getting fired? Do you think he deserved it, or do you think the family was too harsh on him given everything else going on? Drop your thoughts and predictions, because I know this fanbase always has strong opinions, and I genuinely love reading through them. That's it for today's review of Kwababa. Make sure you come back for the next breakdown, because